Hey, salut tout le monde. Bill from Bill's Comfort Food. On today's episode, we're going to do crepes, aka the thin pancake. Now, why that? Well, number one, they're very versatile. Anything you can do with a sandwich, you can pretty much do with a crepe. You know, you can stuff it with veggies, with sauce, you can bake them, you can have them as is, sweet, savory. It's all good. Also, a friend of mine gave me a text and they were saying, the kids are driving me nuts. I need something quick to do. We'll make some crepes. So let's make some fast meal. Let's go. We're going to make a basic savory crepe batter. We have 130 grams of eggs in a bowl with a whisk. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some flour to it. And then eventually we'll let it out with some liquid. Now, here I'm going to add about 65 grams of all-purpose flour. For those of you who have problems with gluten, you can substitute it with chickpea flour, which is perfectly acceptable. And for those of you who are vegetarian, omit the eggs, add a bit more chickpea flour, add some baking soda, and a bit more water. The end result is you just basically want to have something that's pourable. So when you're mixing the batter, don't worry if it's a bit lumpy looking. That's okay. What we're going to do is you want something that's a little thick, and then we're going to let it out with the liquid. I'm going to add 130 grams of water, but you could use cream, stock, milk, whatever. And I'm using a bit of dried herbs as well. The main thing is we want to let this out, make it thinner, and into a pourable consistency. After a little bit of whisking, here's our final batter. Now you notice there are bubbles in there, which is desirable, but you don't want too many. The main objective here is to get something that's thin, pourable, and quick to do. And I think this qualifies. So now you see I have a preheated pan and my batter right next to it. Now you want to put a thin coating of oil and use a non-stick whenever possible. Now, look what I'm doing with my pan itself. I'm tilting it slightly towards one edge, and I'm ladling up my batter here. I'm going to pour it in. But watch the motion of the pan itself. I pour on one side, and I start turning it. And you turn it at an angle, you rotate it through. And you see, this spreads it out very thinly. Now, you don't need the big special equipment to do it. Just a basic hot pan, not screaming hot, medium heat. If you overdo it, you'll burn it. And you notice how it sets? You constantly rotate to get a nice circle and a good adhesion to the pan. Very simple. A little practice, you can do it. So now you have to say, well, when do I know when it's the right time to remove it and flip it over? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to watch the edges of your pan. As soon as the crepe starts to curl, and you have a little bit of lacing, which is known as la dentelle in French, if it starts to curl a little bit and look crispy, that's the time to flip it over. I've already flipped it once, and you'll notice there's a little bit of browning, but not burnt. We have some bubbles, and the edges are starting to curl. Take a closer look here. Get a little bit of browning, no burn. A little bit of bubbles, good. And we've got some curling on the edges and a bit of dentelle. Thumbs up. Anyways, time to flip the crepe. Yep, non-stick, thin, ready to rock. So for today's crepe, I made a baked ham and cheese crepe. Now I made a Mornay sauce, which is basically a bechamel with a bit of cheese and mustard added to it, and some chopped up ham. I stuff the crepe with the ham, pour the sauce all around, and bake it like you would a lasagna. Now you don't have to bake it either. You can just add the sauce and the ham and eat it as is. Perfectly acceptable. And there's tons of variations. Just look at what you have in your fridge. Use a little bit of creativity. Put it in a crepe. You won't be disappointed. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next week.